How did Israel gain so much power over the United States? It comes in 4 parts. Level 1, bribery, creating the mega donors. Level 2, blackmail. Level 3, the media. And level 4, the origin. Let's start with the bribe. They created the largest self-licking ice cream cone. In short, U.S. foreign aid to Israel, which is always in the billions, is split into 2. One part is earmarked for U.S. defense industries, making the MIC happy. The other part goes to benefiting the commercial interests of a select cabal of extremely wealthy state leeches. This creates a donor class. The donor class then lobbies directly or finances professional lobbies like AIPAC to bribe Congress to do Israel's bidding. Their first demand is always to send more money. If a congressman gets out of line, they will finance their opponent. 97% of AIPAC-approved candidates win. The United States is subsidizing its own subversion by a foreign state. Israeli bribes come from the American taxpayers. The entire gambit relies on foreign aid and an unregistered lobby. If the U.S. would end aid to Israel, the entire cycle stops. Why did the aid start? To keep the Suez and the Red Sea away from the USSR. But our greatest allies spied on the United States, stealing the signal intelligence and first strike plans, and gave them to the Soviet Union in exchange for Jewish diaspora to move to Israel. This is why years ago I realized U.S. foreign aid is at the root of everything that sustains their power. Level 2, blackmail. In much the same way, a network of wealthy Jews acts as the financial backbone to construct a massive blackmail operation. This is exactly what the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile ring was. Billionaires like Les Wexner, Leon Black, Glenn Dubin, all Jewish Zionists, all with ties to the Israeli state officials, bankrolled the operation that Maxwell and Epstein managed with Jean-Luc Brunel and Claude Haddad. Once someone is compromised or doesn't want to lose access to what you're offering, money bribes are no longer necessary. In fact, through blackmail, you can force another to institute bribes on your behalf. So let's expose them. They hate being named. Demons operate in the dark. Ethnic nepotism, owning media. Zionist Jews are an ownership class. They get capital from the U.S. and they buy up existing functional businesses. As owners, they have real wealth created by other people's ideas and labor. A real parasite. Not only do they get foreign aid, they actually loan some of it back to the U.S. with interest. Call it usury usurpation. It's one of the oldest tricks. They didn't create the sports teams, the movie industry, the music industry, or anything else. They just own it with capital acquired through extortion. To extort you out of money, then lend it to you at interest, is one of the shiftiest things one can do. This cult mutilates infantile genitalia, runs pedophile rings, steals organs, assists illegal immigration, and wants to mindfuck your son into chopping his dick off. Recently, they assassinated patients in a hospital, handcuffed women and children, and buried them alive. It is a demonic pantheon. Ask yourself this: if demons were real and on earth, what kind of evil would they do? What evil act could they do that Israelis haven't already done? Just like Jacob, the entire nation of Israel is based on theft and lying. But lies do not work without darkness. No industry capture is more vital or important than grabbing the mass media and social media. For free speech would strip their ability to lie. And without that, the father of lies has no power.
We have eyes. We can see. Israeli propaganda and American propaganda is not working anymore. No one is buying that crap other than the dumb people in Washington who think, oh, we're just going to get everybody on cable news to say Israel is awesome and the Palestinian lives don't matter, that they're scrubby little savages and we're allowed to murder them 24/7. It's not working. The rest of us are enraged.
Every war and the resulting famines begins with a lie. Their propaganda no longer works. They've lost their monopoly on media and social media, and they made all efforts to brainwash Elon Musk. And the world saw that desperation too. The world can see their child-murdering demonic behavior. That's how they've always been.
So I have very little sympathy for what has become of that state. It's a satanic state. You know, you look at the polls, 60% of Israelis, 60% say Israel's not using enough force in Gaza. It's not using enough force in Gaza. If you look at every metric out there, every metric, intensity of bombing, payload of bombs, imprecision of bombs, destruction of civilian infrastructure, ratio of civilians to combatants killed, ratio of women and children to total numbers killed. If you look at every metric, there have been so many studies now done. What Israel is doing in Gaza is in a class completely its own. I don't see the other side. I don't see the concentration camp guard side. They're killing people in a concentration camp. They're killing people in a concentration. They can't go anywhere. They can't flee.
Free speech means the death of Israel. The same men celebrating on 9/11 stated this: "Give us 20 years and we'll take over your media and destroy your country." Once a Zionist captures an industry, they simply refuse to hire anyone but each other. This ethnic nepotism is reinforced by creating co-compromises. The ownership class can now act to finance the bribing operation, the blackmail operation, as well as Israeli affiliates whose job it is to smear dissenting voices, ruin their reputations, deplatform them, or even jail them if they can. It is different than blackmail because it just relies on defamation. Ironically, they also run the Anti-Defamation League, but in reality, it is absolutely a defamation league. This dovetails with controlling the media. Not only do they filter the news you get to hear, they openly get to smear and censor anyone who disagrees. There would not have been a war in Iraq or Syria or an attack on Yemen or this ethnic cleansing in Palestine without a complete control of the narrative on US media. And there would not be an ownership class, a bribery or blackmail ring if the US was not subsidizing its own subversion through the act of foreign aid. End all aid to Israel.
Zionism, fascism with a mythological rationalization for terrorism and territory. It's difficult for normal people to fathom the mindset of psychopaths. It is hard for sane people to understand the fanaticism of the God is a real estate agent crowd. And for some reason, so long as a group can maintain victimhood status, they can deflect and excuse their current abhorrent behavior. The individuals who would make up the first Israeli government and institutions were the same people who formed terrorist organizations, where by any means necessary, they would get Jews to move to Palestine, even if it meant working with the Nazis. even if it meant murdering children. The Haganah, Irgun, and Stern gangs were involved in terrorism well before the creation of Israel in 1948. The list of atrocities could not be covered in a single film, but one incident sticks out which really displays their ardent attitude for an ethnic state, and that is the SS Patria. Rather than allowing illegal Jewish refugees to leave Palestine, they bombed the ship the day it was leaving and murdered hundreds of people.
End all their aid.